Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2025. Happy New Year to all, and welcome back to the JSCC official eSeries. Season number 3, of course, takes us to Croft, but we'll get that into just a second. My name, of course, is Zach Sweeney. I should have Jack Burrell alongside me in the commentary box. He's suffering some technical difficulties, which is a great way to start the new year, but all is fine and well with myself and Tom O'Farrell, our broadcast director. Mick Sutton, of course, the man behind all as our series organizer, and Jordan Taylor, the man behind the wheel of our safety car, should we need him over the duration of this evening. Of course, these young drivers are fighting for some pretty serious prizes, as we've all come to know and love over the last few rounds, and the fight in the championship is as close as ever as well, with just still 4 rounds to go. As you can see there, we've tipped our way into the new year. We should be at Thruxton off the back of Castle Combe this evening, but after issues with the mod, we're taken to Croft instead. In a week's time, we'll head to the Snetterton 300. The week after that, Anglesey, Alton Park, and then to round it off where we started at Brands Hatch Indy on the 30th of January. We're going to finish the championship this month, ahead, of course, of the championship winner's prize of a chance at getting the JSCC scholarship for the 2025 season. And, of course, a quick reminder of said prizes, because it's not just first place that gets some magic. It is, of course, second place gets Sim Magic P500 pedals, and third gets themselves 2 weekend admission tickets to the British Touring Car Championship in 2025. Those that are here for 100% of the rounds get themselves a PASR cap, which looks absolutely fantastic. And each week we vote for the driver of the round, and I'm going to need your input here this evening, ladies and gentlemen at home, to dictate who gets themselves a lovely pair of 3M UK Sim gloves to go with it as well. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. It's the championship standings. Understandably, I can tell you for free, it's going to be Nathan Williams that is at the top. He has been on absolute top form all season long, smashing it. And as you can see, after drop scores, 99 points to his name. Just 11 clear, though, of Charlie Devlin, who has really rose to the occasion the last couple of weeks after being top point scorer in Donington Park a few weeks ago. Behind that, Elian Dalton-Ayres, who joined late, but because of drop scores, was able to climb his way to third in the championship. Albert Henriksen Bell then in third, just 7 points back, feeling a little bit under the weather there in fourth. Gabriel Norse, our Ginetta Junior official eSeries champion of 2024, is there in fifth, just 3 points ahead of Alexander Oppenheim in sixth. William Johnson suffering a couple of points penalties in seventh, and Will Clark, Levine Kishore and Sam Chilton are top 10 in the championship, but still all to play for, with just 42 points separating first all the way down to 10th. And even beyond that, we can't see the back end of the rest of the championship, but it's still incredibly close and still a lot to play for as the season develops, which, as I say, we're here at Croft, Snetterton, Anglesey, Alton Park and Brands Indy, so we continue in good stride into the new year. We ended it off on a high at Castle Combe a couple of weeks ago. Brands and Donington, of course, were absolutely fantastic, and when we bring ourselves into the qualifying session, which we'll just get the tail end of, be interesting to see who's going to be the one setting the benchmark, because looking in practice and the amount of laps that people were putting in, Nathan Williams was up there in the mid 200s. We had Charlie Devlin putting in a couple of hundred. I think it must have been was it trying to look, Jacob Ellis, who put in about 370 odd laps, 340 something laps into practice. So a lot going on for a lot of these drivers to make sure that they're on top form, especially at Croft, quite a challenging circuit, and the JSCC car, of course, one that could be quite difficult. I don't want to say difficult to get up to terms to, but maybe dusting off the cobwebs. You know, they've had their Christmases, these young drivers, and dusting them all back off to then be racing hot and ready in the new year. But in qualifying, just 9.5 minutes left to go, and understandably, it's Nathan Williams who's vying for the JSCC title. Of course, after being runner-up to Carl Felvis a year ago. Bit of contact on the exit, actually, of the final corner on his way to a new provisional pole lap. That's going to be to the frustration of, I believe, that was Ben Mattis, who went spinning around. Nathan Williams then across the line, understandably losing a couple of tenths in that final sector. Currently sitting a 10th clear of Charlie Devlin in second place. Hello and welcome, of course, to those that are now just joining us in the YouTube chat. Make sure you're subscribed, and turn the bell on for notifications as well to make sure you're staying up to date with all things perfect acceleration sim racing, because 2025, similar to 2024, looking to be a pretty exciting year. Let me know, how was everyone's Christmases, New Year's? We're doing that, back to work small talk, I suppose. Mine was pretty good. my voice is still a little bit sore, so if I need to get loud, I'll probably sound like I'm 14 again, but that's fine. We'll get into that when we need to. Hello to OVC Hydro, RB Motorsport, Real Wheels, Harley Connolly in the YouTube chat as well. Let us know where you're watching from, obviously who you're cheering on for, and as the evening develops as well, who could well be your driver of the round to get themselves some 3M UK Sim gloves, because they look fashionable, they're comfortable, and they definitely will help as a nice addition to the old Sim collection. Even to the extent of like corporate karting, I suppose, could definitely help out for those that are trying to get into that first step. Gabriel Norse, in terms of the championship, 5th place, 74 points to his name. At the moment is 25 off the championship lead of Nathan Williams, but drop scores, everything like that can still come into effect, because as things stand, Gabriel Norse is dropping 0 points because of that DNS he had a couple of weeks ago at Castle Combe, whereas at the moment Nathan Williams is dropping 43 points. So granted, he's got a pretty good round in pocket, and Gabriel Norse can't mess up. At the end of the season, Gabriel Norse will be dropping a big fat zilch at the end of his season's total. So still very, very possible for one of the favourites coming into this championship as well. Of course, Nathan Williams, always going to be up there, and continues that good run of form in qualifying provisionally at the moment. Gabriel Norse, 3rd place on the grid provisionally as things stand as well. Elliot Daltonez, who was a debutant actually back in Donington, and absolutely smashed it off memory. 38 points to his name. Was on the road for a podium. I think he finished then top 5 in race 2 as well, starting from the back end of the field. A mega driver, and was 2nd highest point scorer a couple of weeks ago at Castle Combe. I unfortunately couldn't attend, but Jack Rowe, of course, bear witness to 2 fantastic races then as well. 6.5 minutes then on qualifying, watching Charlie Kelso make his way round to start his first proper lap of the session. And of course, speaking of drivers of the round, just been informed that Elliot Daltonez was our driver of the round a couple of weeks ago as well. He was in the running at Donington Park, don't get me wrong, but last week definitely sealed the deal. Charlie Kelso then moves himself up into 13th place, just 2 seconds, or less than 2 seconds, covering from 1st to 13th. And Nathan Williams is a very, very fast driver. For those that follow the other PASR championships, the PASR Pro Sim Rig Super Touring 2024/25 Sim Series, he's the favourite to win that championship as well. So he's a very mega driver, especially in the front-wheel drive contingent, and looking very, very strong. So to be within 2 seconds of a driver like Nathan Williams, not bad going at all, and still a little bit of time left to go in qualifying. Got Dennis Devlin cheering on Charlie Devlin, understandably. I could have made a guess about that one. Love the Legends race as well. Yeah, good news, by the way, to start the new year off on a high. PASR hosted the Legends race at Brands Hatch. We managed to raise upwards of £600, maybe even more. Official numbers, of course, to be confirmed, but that is in a mega way to start the year, all of course in support of charity. So thank you to all the drivers that attended. Of course, Chris Dawes in the commentary box to bring the action for that one. It was a mega one. I haven't actually been able to catch up on it yet. I need to. But Legends at Brands Indy, I mean, of course, it's going to be a good race. Why wouldn't it be? Some familiar faces, of course, that took part in that and, of course, have taken place on this. It did happen on the 29th of December, so it's a good way to end 24 and gives us a good stepping stone into 2025. We'll go with that because, yeah, we're only on the 2nd of January. It's still fresh into the new year. It's fine. Ben Mattis, by the way, is there. He's in 15th place. Unfortunately, couldn't get his first proper lap time in after other ideas, we should say, from Nathan Williams. So he's going to be looking to, at the very least, put in a competitive lap time for his standards. Green to the first sector. Of course, he'll be coming up to the second split, I believe. It's as you come into the complex. So he's got sunny in and sunny out, which is right here, right now. And then a little bit of a stretch. And then sector 3, I believe, is the complex. And then into the hairpin at the back end of the circuit. Just keeping an eye on, of course, the rest of the laps coming in. So looking at sort of Nathan Williams, Charlie Devlin, Gabriel Norse, Albert Henriksen Bell, who has already put the excuses in early, saying he's a bit under the weather, not really been able to put much time in practice. But currently sat on the 2nd row and not a million miles away off the pace from where he should be either. Ben Mattis, quite a bit slower to the middle sector relative to his best lap time, which at the moment sees him last of the runners. But if he's able to at least put in a decent-ish lap time, maybe he can jump up a couple of places, or at very least close the gap. It's a 51.1, which I think closes the gap to Charlie Kelso, not by a tremendous amount. There's Will Clark as well, a very, very strong driver. I remember watching him in the Ginetta Junior Official E-Series a few months ago when we were running that sort of September, October time, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Around that time anyway. And I always remember how good of a racer he was. Not tremendously quick on one lap pace, and I think that's showing at the minute in qualifying, being just over a second off the pole time. But when it comes to the races, Will Clark is always a driver that will make moves forward, defend well, choose the right battles at the right time. He really does play sort of that game of risk element, sort of weighing up, should he fight, shouldn't he fight, and as I've always said, his racecraft is probably up there, and I'd probably say inside the top 5 of the championship from Will Clark. If he was able to sort out his race pace, oh, not his race pace, his qualifying pace. His race pace is fantastic. Just over that one lap, he would definitely be scoring a tremendous amount more points. But as that I say, he's not a million miles away. Still only a couple of tenths off at Levine Kishaw, Johnson, Elliot Dalton Ayres there in 5th as well. So some really strong lap times being put in, and as per usual, very, very close and competitive in the JSCC. 2 minutes left in qualifying, so coming to the tail end of it before we jump into our 2 20-minute races. Of course, the second of which is going to be that full reverse grid that we've come to know and love. Of course, absolute carnage at each and every single of the rounds so far, and I'm sure at Croft is going to be no different. Samuel Chilton getting very close to Nathan Williams' time in Sector 3. They're into 8th place now, ahead of Will Clark, who's demoted to 9th. Very fast through Turn 1, into, of course, Turn 2 and 3, where you've got to really chuck the car in under a lot of lateral load, especially as you continue to almost turn the car into the chicane. Right then into the left, getting as close to those inside barriers as you possibly can before you're making your way down this long stretch towards Tower Bend. Now, this is where the car is being pushed to its limits, where slipstream, or well, not necessarily slipstream, but where you're going to be wanting to get a good exit out of the chicanes, because you're cranking on the steering lock for Tower Bend, then straight back onto the power towards the Jim Clark S's, then of course towards Sunny In and Sunny Out. So this part of the track is actually very, very quick indeed. Samuel Chilton, you need to make sure you got a good exit off the chicane and of course Tower Bend, keeping the car pinned through the Jim Clark S's, then towards Sunny In and Sunny Out. A decent overtaking opportunity if you're able to just sort of pitch the car on the inside. Just got to be careful not to lock up any of the tyres. But of course, in the good old Citroen Saxos that we've come to know and love, you're not on the brakes for too long. Would actually like to install the mod of the Saxo and give it a go myself and see how much these young drivers are going to absolutely embarrass me in terms of the lap times. Sam Chilton, though, into the complex, going to break the Sector 2 beam around about now, as you can see there, cranking on the steering towards the hairpin. Now this, unsurprisingly, is a pretty decent overtaking opportunity. People like to just keep the car. There's a lot of steering lock from Samuel Chilton. Oh, he's coming into the pit lane, that'll be why. People love to just sort of open the car up through the complex, keep it to the left, and just sort of send the move to the inside of the hairpin, because once you're on the inside, there's not much that anyone else can do. William Johnson setting a purple sector to the final sector on the final lap, puts him at the moment 5th. I think he is going to get one more lap as well. Charlie Devlin needed a good lap to secure pole position. The first 2 sectors not looking promising. I don't think that's going to put him in good stead to snatch pole position from Nathan Williams. Henriksen Bell as well, not able to improve. Nathan Williams, a topsy-turvy lap. Was he able to hook it up in the middle sector? Yes, he was. Extends the gap to a quarter of a second and solidifies that pole position here at Croft, a circuit that of course he does love after success in the PASR Pro Sim Rig Super Touring 2024 Sim Series a few weeks ago, where he's able to take a stellar recovery drive to P3 and then P2 in the reverse grid race, fended off of course by Nicky Taylor in that one, but a circuit that he still loves nonetheless. But the top 4 are in: Nathan Williams from Charlie Devlin, Gabriel Norse and Henriksen Bell, 1, 2, 3 and 4 heading into race number 1. Just got the sort of stragglers to complete their laps. Ben Matas completed his down in 15th place. Elliot Newbury not going to complete his lap, nor 2 is the purple and black machine coming in. What can William Johnson do? Put in a stellar performance in the final sector last lap to put him up to 5th. He needs just under a 10th improvement to find himself onto the second row of the grid. At the moment through Sector 1, it's not looking good. But as he breaks the Sector 2 beam, less promising, even less promising, and there's not many a corner for the final sector, quite literally just one. So not much opportunity really to find the lap time up over the curbs just to get the rotation, and understandably not going to complete that lap at all. Hopefully we are going to have a word with Nathan Williams, our pole sitter, ahead of what will be the 7th race of the season. In qualifying, as I say, put in that 1:47.430, 2.5 tenths quicker than those around him, and he is going to join us in the commentary booth. Nathan Williams, first of all, how are you feeling?
We're quite happy about that qualifying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good, 2 tenths quicker, coming off the back of Christmas, New Year, you've started off with a bang.
Yeah, obviously that's what you aim for. Obviously pole puts you in a great position for race 1. Wasn't the best lap. I think I definitely had a tenth or two more, but I really struggled to get any space session, so I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, no, we saw how much you struggled to find space. We caught you making contact with Ben Mattis on the first run, but it's fine. Other than that, though, of course, you're leading the championship, 11 points coming into the halfway point of the season. What's the game plan then for race 1? Croft, traditionally a circuit that, at least from where I've seen you, you've been pretty strong. Is the game plan just control the race and run away?
Yeah, obviously it's to get a good launch. Track limits are massive around here. It's so easy to get him just trying to into stupid places where you gain a thousandth of a second. So just try and avoid them. Hopefully keep a gap, and then obviously hope people around you at track limits, and then it just makes the race a lot easier from there.
Yeah, no, you absolutely smashed that qualifying lap. I know you said there was a 10th in it. I think that was in Sector 2, because you did quite well Sector 1. Sector 3 was obviously quite good. That middle sector then, what cost you lap time around Croft? Where are the key points to make sure you nail?
Sunny in's a massive one, and sunny out, and then also, don't know the name of it, but the sort of the corner after the first long straight. It's so important down there because you're going down gears, and the car really wants to lock up the rear tyres, and it just puts you wide and loses you so much speed.
And then obviously you know when need to be quick. How, obviously, going into race 2, hopefully you don't need to do another recovery drive in race 1 like we saw in the Tours, but for race 2, if presumably you're going to start from the back, where are you going to make the moves?
Well, obviously there's a lot of moves to be made through just people making mistakes and a bit of carnage on the opening lap, and then I think from there it's just trying to maybe just have a look down in the heavy braking zone. Seems to be quite easy to overtake, as if you can take the race in line, you can sort of control the corner and just get the better exit and make the move from there.
Well, best of luck, of course, for race 1. Congratulations on pole position. Hope you had a good Christmas and, of course, a good New Year. Smash race 1, and we'll probably see you back in about 20 minutes' time.
Thank you.
Nathan Williams, our pole sitter, then ahead of round 4 here at Croft. And there you can see, speaking of the PASR Pro Sim Rig Super Touring 2024 Sim Series, the finale of that will be taking place next Tuesday at 7:30 in the UK at Alton Park. A long race, I believe, in about 33 or so laps around Alton Park to decide the champion. It's between Nathan Williams, Nicky Taylor, and I think Albert Henriksen Bell as well, just in there as a bit of an outside shot. That should be an absolute cracker to watch. Nathan Williams, of course, vying for some pretty hefty prizes in the Pro Sim Rig Super Touring 2024 Sim Series. So make sure you are tuning in on Tuesday, because the epic conclusion of what has been a very, very long Super Touring 2024 Sim Series will come to an end. It's been very, very hard fought, and, well, a championship similar to the JSCC that Nathan Williams is going to be looking to go and win. Of course, we've got about a couple of minutes, 2 minutes 30, until we get on to the start of race number 1 here at Croft. We'll do our lovely pan down the grid. Nathan Williams from Charlie Devlin. You can see the yellow and black machine on the left-hand side of your screen is Williams. He's joined by Charlie Devlin on row 1. Behind that, Gabriel Norse able to tip Albert Henriksen Bell to 3rd and 4th place respectively on the 2nd row of the grid. Will Johnson from Elliott Dalton Ayres a couple of weeks ago, our driver of the round in the Islay Sims machine. Behind that, of course, you've got Levine Kishaw and of Elliot Newbury in the 11 for the 4th row of the grid. Will Clark not quite able to hold on to 8th place in the end, alongside Charlie Kelso on row 5. Behind that, Samuel Chilton and Jake Critchley for row 6. Jake Wardle and, of course, Jacob Ellis makes up the 7th row. And a very lonely 8th row of the grid goes to Ben Mattas, who understandably won't be joined by Tom O'Farrell on the grid, although maybe some onboards, some drone shots, onboard camera, not drone shots, obviously, because he's driving a Saxo, not a drone, from Tom O'Farrell as the race starts. Although I don't think he'd be too happy with that, based on the hundreds of things that he needs to do, plus driving as well. Probably not the best idea. Although, good idea. There you can see the rear end of the grid, which is probably all we'd see anyway from Tom O'Farrell's driving. Probably. I kid, actually. He's actually quite a nifty driver. I do jest. He Enduro KA. Can't quite remember how he got on. I'm sure he'll tell me in a minute. But also, obviously, the Enduro KA Witness Sim Series champion of 2024, which already was a year ago, which is absolutely frightening. That was over a year ago. Nonetheless, whatever. We digress. 20 minutes will be on the clock, by the way. We've got 45 seconds until we go racing. Nathan Williams looking to cement his place at the front of the championship, which he's done a fantastic job, of course, thus far. He's joined by his championship rival of Charlie Devlin on the front row. Of course, those watching along at home, let us know who you're cheering on for. Let us know who you think your driver of the round is going to be to get themselves some free 3M UK Sim gloves at the end of it. Who stands out to you? Who impresses you? And what are your predictions as we end the first half of Season 3 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship here at Croft? The 5 red lights will come on. Nathan Williams, Charlie Devlin, Gabriel Norse, Albert Henriksen Bell. It's lights out and we get underway, and what a launch that was from the front row. Initially, a great jump from Charlie Devlin. Nathan Williams gets a good second phase though and is able to get the jump as we head towards turn number 1. I think Albert Henriksen Bell was able to get ahead of Gabriel Norse as they hurdle their way towards turn number 1. A very, very good launch as well from Elliot Dalton-Ayres looking on the outside. Nathan Williams though is able to hang on to it as we head into turn number 1. Not really much that anyone else can do. Track limits though, Nathan Williams using all of it and then some heading into the second corner. Able to hang on to it as we head towards the chicane for the first time. Will Johnson, though, up into 3rd place. Elliot Dalton-Ayres dropping to 6th. Gabriel Norse just able to hang on to 5th place as Henriksen Bell gets the jump into 4th. As we head towards Tower Bend, the first key overtaking opportunity of the lap. Let's see if anyone is going to be able to make some big moves. 1.2 seconds already is the gap. Nathan Williams ahead of the rest of the field. He is absolutely smashing it, doing exactly what he needs to do. Bit of contact coming in further down the field, but it's just slight love taps more than anything as we make our way towards the S's. Through the left, then the right, keeping it pretty much pinned, and then just got to be making sure not to run over the track limits too much. Charlie Devlin, though, not quite able to keep in touch with Nathan Williams. That 1.3 second gap, it's going to be more so turning into solidifying 2nd place at the very least on the opening lap through sunny in and sunny out for the first time. Will Johnson, though, what an absolute belter of a start that was to get the initial jump and work his way up ahead not only of Gabriel Norse, but also Henriksen Bell, who maybe reaction times slacking a little bit, feeling a little bit under the weather, maybe not getting the practice starts in as much as he'd have liked. Into the hairpin for the first time. Are we going to see any bold moves? I'm loving this first lap camera pan, by the way, seeing all of the action, captivating the sheer speed of these Saxos. Nice little look to the inside, momentarily making it 3 wide on the inside. That, of course, Jacob Ellis fighting with Charlie Kelso for 11th place. Jake Wardle making his way into the pit lane. No, he's not. He's looking in the background. That's Ben Mattas making his way into the pit lane off the opening lap. So not the way that he'd have wanted to start his first race of 2025. Side by side as we make our way in. Charlie Kelso on the inside of Jacob Ellis. They're going to keep it pinned. I don't quite think the blue and white machine of Ellis is going to be able to get the job done through 2. However, the up and under is there. They're side by side towards the chicane. This is absolutely cracking racing for 11th place, but it's ended in tears. Charlie Kelso goes sideways and careering his way towards the barrier, able to hang on to it, but race firmly done. But with race 2 and that reverse grid looming large, he could well be looking quite pretty for a good result if he's able to hang on to it in about 20 minutes time after race 1's conclusion. Gabriel Norse versus Elliot Dalton-Ayres versus Albert Henriksen Bell. We've broken off the front pack. We've got Williams and then Devlin and Johnson, then a gap, then this trio of Henriksen Bell, Norse and Dalton-Ayres. Elliot Newbury and Levine Kisher as well, making it, 5 cars, all fighting for the final play, or the final place inside the top 4, 4th place, betterly known as, from Henriksen Bell. Running very, very wide though through Sunny in and Sunny out. Of course, Nathan Williams saying that's a crucial part of the track to get right, and not quite nailing it there was Henriksen Bell. That could open the door for Gabriel Norse. He's going to look to the inside of the first part of the complex. Elliot Dalton-Ayres is just licking his lips, seeing where he can find a way to capitalise. Gabriel Norse holds the inside line. Dalton-Ayres looks to go to the outside of the second part of the complex. That will give him the inside for the hairpin if he's able to hang on to it. Elliot Newbury getting involved as well, looking to go to the outside. There's contact as Henriksen Bell is pushed wide. Through goes Dalton-Ayres into 5th. Henriksen Bell then stuck on the outside. Levine Kishore trying to capitalise. Elliot Newbury now falls down to 8th place after that contact. Will Clark there in 9th as well. Personal best coming in. Fastest lap of the race, understandably, set by Nathan Williams. Side by side just ahead of them though, that's going to be Levine Kishore versus Henriksen Bell. It's the grey and yellow striped machine on the inside. That's the 42 of Henriksen Bell. Levine Kishore all the way around the outside of turn number 1. Very nicely done as Newbury has to slam on the anchors. I think the rear end locked ever so slightly, had to put some opposite lock. Through goes Will Clark into 8th place, just biding his time, slowly but surely chipping his way through the field. And well, with a very, very close contingent in front of him, small mistakes are going to be the mistakes that, like I was saying in qualifying, Will Clark will capitalise on. No pun intended, of course, because it's a terrible one. 15.5 minutes as we head into Tower Bend once more. Sam Chilton on the inside of Elliot Newbury. Pretty textbook move and nicely done. Newbury tries to get the up and under. Is he able to get the drive towards the S's? It's going to be the outside line for the first left, and whilst yes, you're keeping it at quite a high speed, it is going to be difficult as the car naturally wants to push out, but he's given the space by Sam Chilton, who does give the inside up to Newbury, who gets a bit caught up on the curb nonetheless, and got a bit of sideways lock, so had to relinquish that position. Anyway, Sunny in, of course, and Sunny out coming out. Can't see them as they emerge through the dust cloud, but Sam Chilton still leads Newbury. Jacob Ellis as well on the back of Elliot Newbury. So we've got, again, a 5-car train, nose to tail. More for the fight for 4th, which is now Norse versus Dalton-Ayres. Of course, both of these drivers in the running for the top 3 in the championship, so wanting to pick up as many points as possible relative to Charlie Devlin and Nathan Williams, who, as things stand, are quite a few positions in front of them. Nathan Williams and Devlin, of course, going to be gaining on the likes of Norse and Dalton-Ayres, but limiting the damage and gaining relative to each other, particularly for those runner-up spots, still solidifies you with some prizes. Don't forget SimMagic P500 pedals and 2 weekend admissions BTCC tickets for 2nd and 3rd place, respectively, in the championship. So you're still fighting for some pretty serious dosh and some pretty cool prizes as well. SimMagic always provides some fantastic equipment with their load cell pedals and all that sort of thing. Absolutely top quality. So 2nd place, definitely getting themselves an upgrade. Is side by side through the S's. That's going to be Jake Wardle trying to get the move on Jake Critchley. It's the civil war between the Jakes, Critchley versus Wardle. And they're going to run side by side on that run towards Tower Bend. It's Wardle or just about on the inside of that green and black machine. He's going to be later on the brakes. Jake Critchley sees it coming, tries to hang it on the outside, but I think just going to get a wash of understeer as Wardle squeezes him out. And in the end, the 32 has to give up that position as we approach the halfway mark of this race. We're 6.5 minutes in, still got 13.5 left to go. So more accurately, maybe about a third of the way through-ish. As into Sunny in and Sunny out once more. Jake Critchley closing the gap, actually getting a really, really good run. Not much that he can do without it into Sunny out though, because he tries to keep his foot planted, but in doing so, the car naturally pushing wide is to not run straight into the back of Jake Wardle, because the last thing you want to do is brake, especially while you're turning the car, as that's just going to be very bad news for those rears. You're going to get a whole heap of locking up. Jake Wardle looks on the inside, but not much that he can do there. Jacob Ellis looks on the inside of Elliot Newbury as well. The two of them going to run side by side as they put their foot down to the floor, and unsuccessful for Jacob Ellis on that one, trying to work his way into the top 10. 12.5 minutes left to go. Nathan Williams from Charlie Devlin, Will Johnson from Gabriel Norse, Elliot Dalton-Ayres just close in behind. That's the fight for the top 5. Currently watching the fight for the back end of the top 10. Jake Wardle on the inside is Jacob Ellis versus Jake Critchley. Fights for P12. Jacob Ellis is able to get himself ahead of Critchley, or at least stay ahead through turn 1 and turn 2 into the chicane. Again, all about the exit. Pitch yourself in as best you can for that left. Make it as little of a corner as possible. Keep that power down on the run towards Tower Bend. Of course, slipstream near negligible, if at all existent, in the Saxo. Slight look to the inside through Tower Bend, but that's all sorts of wrong in terms of the braking. Jake Warder running very wide, doing a very, very good lawnmower impression. Oh, just nearly got away with tapping the barriers. A slight tap as he rejoins the circuit just to steer him back onto course. But the last thing that the young driver there in the number 3 would have wanted. 11.5 minutes remaining then. So approaching half distance very, very quickly of the first race of the evening. Albert Henriksen Bell dropping to 7th place after a 3rd place start. Got a little bit shafted earlier on with the sort of freight train that was the fight with Gabriel Norse, just everyone taking space away from him. Very rightly so, but very unfortunate for Albert Henriksen Bell, very much a passenger as he tries to find his way back through on Levine Kishaw through the complex and into the hairpin. We've got Will Clark for company as well, who's going to be looking for some company. And good point made, actually, from Tommy Farrell, sponsored by a timber company. Maybe going to do some scouting, see what trees are good for the taking on the exit there of Tower Bend. Going for a quick little look. And I will definitely remember that now for the rest of the season, should Jake Wardle make any further mistakes in the second half of the season that we've got. That, of course, will come to an end in January. We'll have the final round at Brands Indy on the 30th. So just 28 days, just 4 weeks left to go. And what has so far proven to be a fantastic 3rd edition of the Junior Saloon Car Championship. Official eSeries, of course, here on Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing. Make sure you are liking the stream, subscribing to the channel, and turning the bell on as well to make sure you're staying up to date with all things sim racing here. Of course, as I say, we've got the PASR Pro Sim Rig Super Tour and 2024 Sim Series to look forward to on Tuesday. Make sure you are tuning in, and of course a lot of exciting stuff planned throughout the year as well, so you're making sure you don't want to miss out, whether that's as a viewer or as a competitor. Always open slots for people to join championships, always fantastic prizes, and always very, very well run. The broadcast, in terms of the commentary, you've got me, Chris Dawes, Jack Well, he's alright, Alex Newman, he's also quite alright as well, but yeah, Tom Farrell's good with the cameras, let's at least have that much. Jacob Ellis, though, on the back of Elliot Newbury. Got to remember as well, like, the guys, while yes, they've been off school or college or whatever, wherever walk of life they are at the moment, one of the two, because of course they're all very, very young. They've been busy with Christmas and New Year's and celebrations, spending time with family. Not all of them have had the time to put in countless laps of practice. Not all of them have sort of been racing competitively. A lot of leagues, as we'll get back to that in a second. Look there to the inside from Jake Critchley. Quite able to find his way through on that particular occasion, but not all of them have had the time to sweat out practice. A couple of them, don't get me wrong, have, but again, even in that race environment, it's been a good few weeks since Castle Combe. Been a good few weeks since these drivers, as good as they are, have raced in that environment. There are going to be some cobwebs to dust off. So considering all of that, I think we've had a pretty cracking first race of the new year. And then once those cobwebs are completely settled, race 2 will undeniably bring quite a lot of drama and intrigue. Just looking at the gap at the front, Nathan Williams was able to get 1.2 second gap on the first lap. Since then, has been able to grow to 3.3 ahead of Charlie Devlin. Of course, Nathan Williams done himself a lot of favours. The initial get-go of the car wasn't great. I think bogged down a little bit, maybe let go of the clutch a bit too quickly or whatever it was. But that second phase was able to get him ahead of Charlie Devlin. And then once he was into the lead, he made sure to nail the first half of the lap, to pull out that gap, made sure he was not under any contention at all, and has since then been able to do what Nathan Williams does best, which is churn out laps, have the consistency, and run at the front. Same too, to an extent, for Charlie Devlin as well, in terms of pure lap times. They're not too far separated. Well, I say that actually, their fast lap times about half a second apart, but race pace, it's only a few tenths a lap between Nathan Williams and Charlie Devlin. And that's allowed Devlin to grow the gap to Will Johnson to just over a second, teetering on the edge of a second and a half now. Which, don't get me wrong, nothing to get complacent about. He's not safe by any stretch of the imagination, but Charlie Devlin is, safe for now. Jacob Ellis at the inside of Elliot Newbury, still fighting for his space inside the top 10, and he spun round, and oh goodness me, Elliot Newbury, a passenger in that one. Nothing really more he could have done there. Jacob Ellis spun him, pit manoeuvred him rear left, to front right, and around he went. Of course, gets him inside the top 10, but I'm not too sure that Elliot Newbury is going to be liking that move too much, considering there wasn't really too much he could do at all. Jake Critchley, though, gets an absolutely stunning up and under from Jacob Ellis, who very promptly disconnects from this race after the incident with Elliot Newbury. I think maybe a little bit of remorse, potentially, on that one. Jake Critchley, though, despite that, was setting up a pretty good switchback and is the one to capitalise on that into 10th place. Next closest battle on track, apart from Charlie Devlin and Will Johnson. What has happened to Charlie Devlin? Just when I was saying he can't get complacent and make a mistake, Will Johnson is now back through and up in a 2nd place. Gabriel Norris is about 3 seconds back. He's fighting with Elliot Dalton-Ayres for 5th place. But what on earth happened to Charlie Devlin? Obviously, the safe bet is to assume he probably made a mistake at some point, rather than Will Johnson turning on the afterburners and absolutely gunning after him. But with just under 6 minutes left to go in race number 1, this is hugely shaken up, and of course important for the championship, because Nathan Williams is never going to say no to some free points taken away from Charlie Devlin, especially when he's the one winning the race by 6 seconds now. The gap between Will Johnson and Charlie Devlin. Oh, not Will Johnson. Nathan Williams and Will Johnson, I should say. It's New Year for me as well, guys. It's New Year for me as well. But yeah, 1 minute 50.8, 2 seconds slower than Will Johnson that previous time by for Charlie Devlin. You would assume it probably happened somewhere in the first half of the lap, maybe running wide on the brakes into Tower Bend. That's a very... We'll ask him if he's on the podium at the end of the race, ask him what happened, but my assumption will be either the chicane or through Tower, because we did see Johnson ahead of him before Sunny in and Sunny out, because that was then going to be my next guess, but I think it would probably have been at Tower. Nonetheless, we won't speculate. We'll ask after the race. We've only got 4.5 minutes to wait until that point anyway. Gabriel Norris, the gap to Charlie Devlin has extended. The gap to Elliot Dalton-Ayres has shrunk. So Norris definitely under a little bit of pressure. Charlie Devlin trying to put the pressure back onto Will Johnson, who's definitely got the psychological high ground after the mistake of Devlin. He's had to shake off that mistake and drive with the frustration of knowing his championship rival is, near 7 seconds up the road, and he's now fighting with Will Johnson rather than comfortably being in front of him for 2nd place to at the very least limit the damage. Picked up Sunny in and Sunny out, though, the pair of them, quite well, I must say. Now into the complex. This is prime time for Will Johnson to start putting in some good lap times and try to extend the gap. Charlie Devlin keeping it nice and tidy. Is he close enough for an absolute launch? Oh, no, he's not. Absolutely not. He'd be silly, and Charlie Devlin is much better than that. However, slightly offline there from Will Johnson. Charlie Devlin can get his foot down, which he does, and a bit too prematurely. Unable to wind the lock off soon enough, and not quite the most ideal exit, so pretty equal between the pair of them. Just thinking that Will Johnson didn't open up the hairpin as much as Charlie Devlin did, and that probably didn't help him, but Charlie Devlin made a different mistake, or not different mistake, more of an inaccuracy than a mistake, because in the end it didn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things. 3 minutes left to go. They're probably looking at, what, 2? Maybe this is the penultimate lap. Depends on Nathan Williams. I think we are going to get maybe 2 more at the line. Of course, let me know, guys, who standed out to you. Fantastic English. Stood out to you in race number 1. Of course, just a reminder as to who our drivers of the round have been. We had Alexander Oppenheim after a sensational win in race 2 at Brands Indy. Of course, then Charlie Devlin, Elliot Dalton-Ayres a couple of weeks ago for the 3. So they're out of the running. Of course, Oppenheim isn't even here, so you wouldn't have any reason to vote for him anyway. But let me know, who's impressed you? I mean, Williams hasn't won one, so maybe he's looking good to go for a double victory. Johnson has had a pretty strong round as well. I mean, capitalising on that mistake in 2nd, of course, going to have to wait to see what race 2 brings, but all in all, looking good, getting those nominations in, seeing who's in the running for a pair of 3M UK Sim gloves, of course, for free as well. 2 minutes left on the clock. Nathan Williams about to cross the line, so it will be 2 at the line for race number 1. Charlie Devlin definitely a lot closer to the inside of the hairpin. He's got to surely go for it. It's not an opportunity he's going to take. He's going to try and set up the switchback and force the mistake from William Johnson, who doesn't flinch. Jacob Ellis, by the way, has rejoined the race and is back on track. So I think a genuine disconnect. Maybe then some ping issues or something caused the contact between himself and Elliot Newbury, netcode or something, or rather, I'm not entirely sure. Again, don't want to speculate, but he disconnected and he's now back in and driving, probably to finish the race as to start on pole position for race 2. Would be my best guess as to why he's still out there churning in some laps on the penultimate one of the race. Charlie Devlin still on the back of Will Johnson, not able really to make much inroads. There has been contact between Elliot Dalton-Ayres and Gabriel Norse. That's just flashed up on the live timing. I think more of a bump draft because the relative speed only a couple of miles an hour. So Dalton-Ayres giving the sort of the hurry up to Gabriel Norse, because Levine Kishore 2 seconds back. If they battle for the lap and a half they've got left, could be reeled back into contention, trying to fake the move into Tower Bend, forces Gabriel Norse slightly wide. The better exit is favouring the 0-0 of Dalton-Ayres, but I don't think he's quite close enough by the time they reach sunny in and sunny out. But applying that pressure, filling the mirrors. Levine Kishore, by the way, through Tower Bend alone, closed in half a second. So looking pretty. The gap between Johnson and Devlin now, of course, is about 6/10 also. So while ebbing and flowing in favour of Will Johnson. Ben Matas has a bit of a spin. This is now through turn number 1. There's Charlie Devlin. There's Dalton-Ayres. So 2 couples to focus on, heading on to the final lap of the race into the complex for the penultimate time. Home, of course, of one of the best overtaking opportunities on the circuit. Sam Chilton as well, fighting with Jake Critchley for P9. So Jake Critchley not only able to capitalise and work his way into the top 10, but also now maybe knocking on the door for extra points inside the top 10 as well. The clock ticks down to 0. This will be the final lap of the race that Nathan Williams has just started, lap 11. Will Johnson flashes the beam, 3/10 that lap quicker than Charlie Devlin, and just needs to bring it home on this last lap. There is the gap. The red and white, of course, of Devlin, the blue and white, and red, I should say, of Will Johnson as well. From the front, the blue and the red machine, comfortably in front. Also want to keep an eye on the Gabriel Norse Dalton-Ayres fight to see if those two are going to be getting into any skirmishes on the final lap of the race, or whether it warrants the risk, considering how close-ish Levine Kishore and Albert Henriksen Bell are to each other. Albert Henriksen Bell, there you can see the gap actually to Levine Kishore, and then Dalton-Ayres just ahead of him, a second and a half. I think just going to run out of time more than anything. Not a case of won't, more a case of can't. I'm sure if the opportunity arises in the half a lap they've got left, he will take it, but it does look incredibly unlikely that that will happen. One man though that has been absolutely dominant has been Nathan Williams. He's got about a third of the lap left to go before he makes his way across the line. Jake Critchley versus Sam Chilton as well. We can see, I could barely see both cars going into the S's because of how close they're running. Still, you can barely see Jake Critchley tucked up behind Samuel Chilton. A look then towards the kink and then towards Sunny in and Sunny out. Is there going to be a send? There's contact. Jake Critchley straight into the back of Samuel Chilton, bins him, but across the line, Nathan Williams. Is a race that's ended in absolute carnage, but the number 5 dominates once more in the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries of Season 3. Nathan Williams gunning for the title is victorious at race 1 at Croft. Will Johnson was able to hang on from Charlie Devlin in the end, capitalised on the mistake, and took home second place in the end as well. What a fantastic effort that was from Charlie Devlin. And Gabriel Norse as well, able to hold off Dalton-Ayres in the fight for 5th. Just waiting for the last couple of drivers then to cross the line. Charlie Kelso is one of them. Of course, don't forget that race 2 coming up after the interviews will be a full reverse grid of every finisher, which we have got all 15 of them. So Nathan Williams at the back, Will Johnson then will join him just ahead. Won't join him on a row actually. He'll make up the 7th row while Williams will be on the 8th. But Ellis will be at the front. Will he be able to hang on to it? Rossi Costello cannot wait to participate in the next week's round, which is absolutely very true. If you are looking at this and you're thinking you like the look of it, and you're eligible, obviously born within the allocated time bracket, you want to join us for the last half of the season, definitely feel free to. However, we have got our 3 podium sitters. We'll start, of course, with Charlie Devlin. P3 in the end, not bad going, but second place was on.
Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed at myself really. I got 2 warnings right at the start, which put me on the back foot, and then I made a real mistake into lap about 10 minutes in, and then Will just had a really good run on me, got past. Then I suffered with dirty air really. It kind of affected me, and I couldn't really get around him.
Yeah, it was a tough one. You did get close a couple of times. Was there a send sort of in the mind somewhere? Were you thinking about it?
I was really seeing where I was faster and where I was slower. I sort of know that now for race 2. But I tried iron one up into the last corner on the last lap. It didn't quite work. Just because going around the outside there and getting a cutback is really a lot quicker. But yeah.
Now the aim for race 2, of course, you're going to be starting a little bit ahead of Nathan, your championship rival. Is the aim to obviously carve your way through, but more importantly, stay in front?
The aim is for a win, really, because I know this championship is starting to slip away a little bit, and really the only person to bring it back is me at the minute. So we're going to have to push hard, we're going to have to try and get a win, but we'll see.
Awesome stuff. Well, best of luck for race 2. Congratulations on the podium in race 1, and well, we might see you back in 20 minutes time.
Thank you.
Charlie 11, P3 at the end of race 1. We'll make our way up the podium. Another step to Will Johnson. Will, capitalised when you needed to. P2, good going.
Yeah, I kept it consistent. Just 48, it's nothing crazy. And he made a mistake and I got through.
Where was the mistake? I said tower. Was I right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know the names of the corners.
The one at the end of the straight.
Yeah,
after the chicane.
around there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost like I kind of at least a little bit know what I'm talking about. Not really, but congratulations on P2 nonetheless. What's the aim for race 2? You're starting right at the back of the field. Consistency and capitalisation again. Just gonna avoid the carnage and see where it brings you out after the first couple of laps.
Yeah, I'm hoping for maybe like P4 to P3. P2 would be good again, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you, Charlie 11, you've got high hopes to work your way through, but confident to do it. How much practice have you been able to put in then, obviously, between Christmas and New Year's, spending time with family, obviously not at school or college for the last couple of weeks, so I suppose that works in your favour, but have you felt as comfortable here as you have done for previous rounds?
Yeah, I feel I'm pretty good at this track compared to the previous tracks, because I ran P6 in quali, and yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, running quite well. I mean, P6 in quali, P2 in the race. Starting on the back foot, though, for race 2 with the reverse grid. Best of luck, and hopefully we'll see you back in 20 minutes' time.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Will Johnson, P2 in race 1. And finally, Nathan Williams, to anyone's surprise, really? Nathan Williams, race 1 winner, and extending the gap in the championship. You quite like this track?
Yeah, I've been running quite well so far, I'd say. I feel Croft's never been my favourite track. I've always struggled with the final sector a lot. But I feel in that race, that's where I was gaining nearly all my time. So I feel I've got over that and I'm starting to enjoy the track a bit more now.
Yeah, you've been really settling in quite well. 8 seconds was the gap in race 1. Starting P15 though for race 2. The 2 before you have said they're confident for a podium. I assume you're going for the win as well?
Yeah, obviously Croft isn't the easiest circuit to overtake, but we're also a bit lower on numbers this week, which helps you a lot. Obviously, again, there's less people to overtake. So a win's definitely on. Obviously, Charlie's a bit further ahead than he has been in a few past races. So two positions ahead. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but obviously, hopefully get as many positions on the opening lap and then just work on it from there.
Right, well, best of luck for race 2, and hopefully we'll see you back in 20 minutes' time.
Thank you.
Nathan Williams, race winner of race 1. I'm going to step away for just a minute and a half before we head to race number 2. Just a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. We've got just under a minute until we go green for race number 2 of round 4 of the JSCC official E-Series Season 3. Of course, taking us to Croft. We saw a fantastic race number 1, Nathan Williams taking another victory this season. Ahead of Will Johnson and Charlie Devlin on the podium. And looking for more excitement in race number 2. A quick rundown, of course, of the grid. It will be Jacob Ellis, eligible for reverse grid pole ahead of Ben Mattas. Elliot Newbury from Samuel Chilton and Charlie Kelso, the front 5. Jake Wardle keeps him company on row 3 from Jake Critchley. Will Clark in 8th. Albert Henriksen Bell from Levine Kishore. Elliot Dalton-Ayres, who look out for him as race 2 develops. Gabriel Norse from Charlie Devlin, Will Johnson and Nathan Williams on the lonely 8th row of the field. In 15th place, 20 minutes back on the clock. The bottom 3 confident they can ascend their way back to the top 3 steps once more. The 6 red lights illuminate on your screen. 6 on, the 24 and the 9 share the front row ahead of 20 more minutes of racing here at Croft to end off the first half of Season 3 as we get underway, and a good launch from the outside of the grid there from Ben Mattas to immediately take the lead of the race. However, the advantage swings back into the way of Jacob Ellis, who's got the inside line, heading in towards turn 1 with 3 wide momentarily. That's Charlie Kelso sandwiched in between Jake Ward and I believe that's going to be Will Clark working his way to go to the outside. Tries to get the up and under on the green and black machine. They're going to be momentarily 4 wide, 3 wide at the very least, pinched in the middle. There's contact. Round goes Charlie Kelso. It's going to cause absolute mayhem in the background. Albert Henriksen Bell is able to dart his way to the inside. Nathan Williams as well able to make the most of the carnage, just trying to pick his way through into 8th place. 7 places in the span of 3 corners from Nathan Williams. He is not one to mess around. Elliot Dalton-Ayres has been able to make his way through into 7th as well. What a way to start race number 2. Hopefully we've got 19 more minutes of absolute carnage to keep us entertained in these Saxos. Look to the inside though as Dalton-Ayres tries to work his way forwards in front of Sam Chilton. Also Gabriel Norse on Charlie Kelso. That fight you can see in the background heading out of Tower Bend. There goes Dalton-Ayres through on Nathan sorry, I should say Sam Chilton. Nathan Williams goes through on Sam Chilton as well through the Jim Clark S's. Now towards Sunny in and Sunny out for the first time. Ben Mattas able to hang on to the lead after getting that lead from Jacob Ellis, who now goes sideways and is going to relinquish second place to Will Clark, who picks his way through on the inside. What did I say about Will Clark? A driver that does not mess around when it comes to opportunistic driving. He's gone from 8th on the grid to 2nd in the span of less than a lap. Inside line for Jake Wardle heading into the complex. The up and under looks there from Jacob Ellis, but no way through. So Wardle once again, driver involved in the calamity of the first lap, now able to capitalise on it and make his way through into 3rd. They're going to go 3 wide. Henriksen Bell assumes the outside line. The up and under is there from Wardle, trying to get his way back through on Jacob Ellis. They're going to run side by side, but the blue, white and red machine of Ellis, as you can see, top down, is going to have the advantage. Albert Henriksen Bell trying to keep Elliot Dalton-Ayres at bay, as you can see in the blue, the black and the white machine. Nathan Williams and the Demon Tweaks black and yellow tries to look on the inside of Dalton-Ayres to pick his way through in a 6th. Is that move on into turn 1? He's going to send it as late on the brakes as he can. Dalton-Ayres, of course, is going to see it come into the outside. They fight their way towards turn number 2. Who's going to capitalise on this one best when we tune back into the action? Jake Wardle in 4th, still side by side with Jacob Ellis. He's able to cement that position through though. Wardle able to get 3rd. Jacob Ellis having to fall back behind Albert Henriksen Bell, who now promotes himself into 4th place. A fight for the lead though as Will Clark goes through on Ben Mattas. Absolutely insane stuff from the 48 machine on the Oryx car. Nice. First lap and a half in the books for race 2. We were not disappointed. Gabriel Norse is through. Jacob Ellis has had a bit of a spin as he goes to the back end of the field. I think getting tangled up with Elliot Newbury momentarily as well. So that's going to demote Nathan Williams to 8th place as they go 2 wide, 3 deep heading into the S's. Not exactly optimal stuff, but keeping it nice and clean as we're used to in the JSCC. Nothing malicious. Just some racing love taps between these young drivers. They're going to go 3 wide though into Sunny in. Nathan Williams getting his elbows out side by side as Samuel Chilton gets pushed off the track. Charlie Devlin now trying to capitalise on this one. Levine Kishore involved as well. Big hitters in this race getting caught up and tripping over themselves. Dalton-Ayres is loving it as he's able to somewhat extend a bit of a gap and get away with Gabriel Norse, but they've got to close in on Albert Henriksen Bell if they want any chance of winning this race later on. Still 16 minutes and 20 seconds left of it as we complete lap number 2 and get that one in the books, as that's wide from Jake Wardle. Ben Mattas, who dropped to 3rd, is now going to try and counter-attack and find his way back through in a 2nd place. We looked at 11 completed laps for race 1. We've done 2 of them thus far, so still 9 laps left to go then for race number 2. Henriksen Bell looks to go to the inside, not backing out of that one at all, has the inside line for turn number 1 and works his way through onto the podium. Nicely done from Henriksen Bell, who didn't look too confident in race 1, but is making up for it in race 2, scrubbing off, of course, that illness. Elliot Dalton-Ayres working his way through on the chicane. Through on Ben Matas, who does just about able to hang on. Gabriel Norse there in 6th as well. Into Tower, of course, you can see the red and white. That's Gabriel Norse. Nathan Williams as well, going to try and push him through on the inside of Tower. Maybe try and get 2 and 1 if he's able to get the up and under, get the rotation, get the drive towards the S's. Ben Matas goes wide. He drops now down to 8th place as Charlie Devlin goes through into 7th. Nathan Williams is not shying away from a fight one bit. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are we thinking of these first couple of laps here? Will Johnson fans, of course, in the chat. He's had a pretty lackluster start to the race down in P11, maybe caught up in the carnage. But with the way these guys are racing, still plenty of opportunity for him to work his way through. Kelso and Levine Kishore are going to go through on Ben Matas. Well, definitely Kishore is. Kelso gets a bit caught up as Will Johnson. Could well go through for 10th place. You would assume he's at least going to have a go. Samuel Chilton as well looks to go to the inside of the complex. Will Johnson sees it coming, just able to hang on that 367 machine, but in the end not enough to tip Charlie Kelso as Ben Matas goes very, very wide, having an absolute disaster of a lap 3. Now Charlie Devlin in 7th. On the back of Nathan Williams, his championship rival, of course. Charlie Devlin knows the championship ever so slightly slipping away. This is a move he needs to make just to limit the damage and try and claw back some points in the championship that seems to be Nathan Williams to lose. Inside line for turn number 1, it's the red and white on the inside. Charlie Devlin trying to get that position, but Nathan Williams is going to thwart the attack outside for turn 1 and outside for turn 2. Nathan Williams proving why he's the championship leader of 2 PASR championships. 13 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. Another Will Johnson fan getting a lot of hype in the YouTube chat based off his race 1 performance. Race 2 though, a lot to behold still, but still a long way to go. Over halfway still remaining. Devlin needing to get past Nathan Williams, racing maybe a bit too conservatively, a bit too cautiously, knowing that the championship is slipping away. It's your championship rival. You need to beat that man. But unfortunately not quite enough. But with how close the gaps are, opportunity, I'm sure, won't be something that's lacking of. You get what I mean. There's going to be a lot of opportunities. What I was trying to say, don't know why I went for the double negative. Nonetheless, right, it's fine. We ignore it. It's fine. Nathan Williams, there's going to be opportunities. Gabriel Norse running wide, I think through Sunny in and Sunny out. That's going to promote Jake Wardle. Demote Jake Wardle to 5th as Nathan Williams goes through on the pair of them. This is bad news for Charlie Devlin, who goes through at the very least on Gabriel Norse, or at least is going to try and fight it. Has the inside line, tries to get onto the rear end of Jake Wardle as well, but around the outside, clipping the barrier very nearly was Gabriel Norse. Of course, our Ginetta Junior official eSeries champion of 2024, fighting now on the inside of Jake Wardle in that green, black and white machine as they emerge out of the hairpin for one more time. 12.5 minutes left on the clock. Into the barrier goes Elliot Newbury, and you cannot park there, sir. Unfortunately, it is a live racetrack. Nathan Williams, though, posting a very quick lap time, closing into the podium. Side-by-side ding-dong battles as Charlie Devlin hangs on to 5th, but through goes Gabriel Norse. Capitalisation at its finest from Gabriel Norse. Through now on both Wardle, Devlin. Kishore was able to capitalise there as well. And could that be the nail in the coffin for the championship? Nathan Williams heading into the second half of the season. As things stand, we'll have a huge gap relative to Devlin, plus a huge drop round should things go wrong. He'll have 43 points, which historically has been good enough for 2nd or 3rd in the round. He's got that just sat waiting in his pocket to use and whip out whenever he feels like it, should he need to miss around or mess up. The pressure is on for Charlie Devlin if he wants to win that potential shot at a real live race seat for 2025. Free entry to the JSCC scholarship at Pembury, I believe, in a few weeks' time. One of these young lads will win it, and at the moment, we're on course to see Nathan Williams, after being runner-up last season, take the championship. course, the first half has provided thrills and spills. Will the second half do similar? But Nathan Williams has been faultless. William Johnson, by the way, on the inside of Charlie Kelso. That's the move for 9th. The blue and black machine just able to hang on to it. William Johnson very bravely hanging it to the outside. Now the inside line for the hairpin. Huge bit of rotation there from Charlie Kelso. Will Clark, though. Oh, not Will Clark. That's Will Johnson. Now into 9th place. Nathan Williams now knocking on the door for not just 3rd, but 2nd place as well. There you can see Elliot Dalton-Ayres just in front of him. Albert Henriksen-Bell there as well, a driver that Nathan Williams has got plenty of experience with racing. Will Clark, though, leading the way by 2.5 seconds with half the race left to go. Just needs to be churning in the laps, trying to, if not grow that 2.5 seconds, at the very least keep it the same. I don't really need to explain why it would be a bad thing for that gap to close now, would I? Because, yeah, Williams is dangerous. Not dangerous in the sense that he's going to like drive into the side of it, but dangerous in the sense that he's very threatening for the race win. That tickled Tom a little bit in my ear. Quite a big of a jump scare as well. I'm going to turn my headphone volume down while I'm at it. 10 minutes left to go in this race, by the way. But yeah, Nathan Williams, yeah, he's threatening in the mirrors of Will Clark if he's not careful. That gap though is coming down. Elliot Dalton-Ayres under pressure. Look at that from Nathan Williams. The drive that man has. What does he have for breakfast? What does that man have for breakfast? He's around the outside going into the complex. It's probably a lot more than Weetabix, let's put it that way. Inside line through on Elliot Dalton-Ayres to take 3rd place through. And that's Nathan Williams now back onto the podium, knocking on the door, still with just under half this race left to go. .3 seconds now the gap to Albert Henriksen-Bell, just shy of 3 seconds up to Will Clark for the race victory. Nathan Williams a 48.5 that previous lap time. It was a 48.7 for Will Clark. So in terms of pure lap time, of course, he had an overtaking things to make on that lap. It's not going to be enough, but in terms of fastest lap times, Nathan Williams doing a 48.1 as there's contact. Jake Wardle with Levine Kishaw through turn 1, goes sideways, kicks up the dust, and Jake Wardle tumbling down 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 places, probably going to end up this exchange behind Samuel Chilton. That is going to be the case, and Wardle from 7th now down to 11th. In the span of one small mistake from one driver. Elliot Newbury there as well, just ahead of Jake Critchley. Neither of those two really having the best of races. Elliot Newbury, of course, we saw there parked through the second part of the complex, the right-hander of the complex before the hairpin. Elliot Dalton-Ayres, though, keeping tabs with Nathan Williams and maybe not putting up too big of a fight, knowing that Williams is naturally going to drive him onto the back of Albert Henriksen-Bell. So if Dalton-Ayres can stay with him, obviously not necessarily like with the slipstream, but learn a thing or two from Williams, use the pace that we know the 0-0 has got, he could be knocking on the door of Albert Henriksen-Bell, maybe even Will Clark as well. This race is far from done. Deno Rollins in the YouTube chat. Nathan Williams does laps for breakfast. That is the only food that he needs. He gets fueled by churning in the laps. That's how he gets his calories. 10 grams of protein per lap, and he is absolutely buff, at least in terms of his driving. Nathan Williams, quarter of a second back on Albert Henriksen-Bell. Oh, sorry, Dino, not Deno. I did contemplate it. Apologies to Dino Rollins in the chat. Tom Algar as well. Hello and welcome to everyone. Cheering on Jake Wardle, commending his save. Let me know as well who you're thinking for the driver of the round. At the minute, for me, especially if he wins race 2, there's no other man that we can give it to apart from Nathan Williams, in my humble opinion. Let me know who you're cheering on. Of course, at home, Will Johnson had a really strong race 1. He's had a decent race 2 as well. Maybe just not having the sort of the race that he'd have wanted, not capitalising, maybe not in the right place at the right time, those sorts of things. I mean, in a lap 1 that we saw, granted, there's a lot of opportunity to go forwards. And yes, there is an element of skill to that. There is also quite a big element to luck. You know, who's on your inside, who's on your outside, how cautious are you, do you back out, tyre temperature, those sorts of things. Momentum is a big one, track position. So it's very easy well, yes, to go forward, equally to go backwards in a situation like that as well. Will Clark to Henriksen Bell, now 1.4 seconds. Nathan Williams within half a second of Henriksen Bell. So the gap respect from first to second and second to third has come down. And importantly, the gap from first to third equally has come down by about a second, but with only 6 or just under 6 minutes left to go in this race. But the two main contenders for driver of the round, Nathan Williams, who of course has done Nathan Williams things, but Will Johnson, impressive in the last couple of rounds as well, and definitely has impressed here as well today. So let us know what you think in the YouTube chat. Charlie Devlin through to 5th as well, but still 2 places back on his main championship rival, who arguably looks favourite to win, as he's going to try and tick off another overtake right here. A good exit off the hairpin sees him side by side with Albert Henriksen Bell, of course, in that grey and yellow machine on his inside, and Albert Henriksen Bell, I don't think really wanted to put up too big of a battle there. 1.3 seconds now is the gap, using all of the track and then some, making the most of the track limits, of course. Don't want to step a millimetre over the edge, because you only get 3 warnings before you get yourself a 5-second penalty, and we've seen many a driver victim to that in the past. And yet, Henriksen Bell, of course, good friend of Nathan Williams, wasn't ever going to fight that one too harshly, I should say. My English is fantastic today. I need a thesaurus or something sat next to me. That's usually Jack Rowell. Unfortunately, he's busy fixing his PC, which has decided to not cooperate in 2025. 4.5 minutes left to go. Will Clark and Nathan Williams just under a second now between the pair of them. The question is, can he defend it? Will Clark, this is a chance to win a race, but it's against Nathan Williams. I mean, don't get me wrong, we saw it earlier in the season with Alexander Oppenheim at Brands Indy. Croft is a tough circuit to overtake at. I know Nathan Williams has made it seem like light work, but Will Clark is a really, really strong driver. Not to say that the other drivers Nathan Williams has overtaken aren't, but Will Clark is tremendously strong. He knows how to position the car. He knows how to make it as wide as possible. And surely you're going to go for a win. He didn't... I mean, he had a decent race one, made positions where he needed to, started 8th on this grid, and has worked his way up to P1. And if he's able to hang off Nathan Williams for what will be 3 laps by the time we get to the checkered flag, that would be tremendous work from Will Clark. But again, let me know about the driver of the round, Nathan Williams or Will Johnson, maybe even Will Clark, be chucked into the running. We've got 0.2 of a second between the pair of them, nose to tail, and the pressure is building for Will Clark. You have to be faultless in a situation like this. Running ever so slightly wide through turn 2. The inside opens up through the chicane. Nathan Williams not going to hesitate at all. Fills the space. Will Clark, of course, not going to give it up without a good fight. They ding-dong through the chicane. Now towards Tower Bend. Nathan Williams tucking in behind. I think a flash the headlights as well. Maybe to try and put Will Clark off his game into Tower Bend, where it's so easy to lock the rears. Don't think Nathan Williams is quite close enough, as we've got 3 cars. Will Clark from Nathan Williams, from Albert Henriksen Bell, who you would assume wouldn't put pressure on Nathan Williams and is more going to work with him. Look at that run out of Tower Bend, now towards the Clark S's. Nathan Williams on the outside, turns to the inside for the second part. Will Clark has got to be feisty here if he wants to hang on to the chance of winning this race. It's the outside for the kink, and Nathan Williams is going to be able to dominate that position and firmly get his way through into the lead of the race. What can Will Clark do? Is he remotely close enough into Sunny In? No, he's not. He needs a good run through Sunny Out if he wants to have at least a look of a counter-attack heading on to the penultimate lap of this race. Albert Henriksen Bell is looking there as well. He's sandwiched between 2 very close mates. He's having to defend, he's having to attack, and Will Clark is not in a good shape here. Previously looking comfortable to maybe go and win this race. Nathan Williams, though, if he's not overtaken into the hairpin, it's his race to lose. Henriksen Bell not quite close enough into the hairpin. And Nathan Williams hooking it up nicely. I think that is the nail in the coffin for Will Clark's potential chance at the race victory. Now he's just got to try and hold firm for second place, because Albert Henriksen Bell is looking quite dangerous, and Elliot Dalton Ayres as well is looking quite threatening in the rearview mirrors of the pair of them as well. So Will Clark holds on to second. Dalton Ayres tries to get the up and under and try and apply some pressure to Albert Henriksen Bell, but with just a lap and 2/3 left to go, as there's contact between Charlie Devlin and Elliot Dalton Ayres. Through goes Charlie Devlin, at least an attempt, and no, he is through. ahead now of the 0-0, who's at the back of this 4-car train. Nathan Williams has detached and checked himself out. Thinking about entering for Snetterton looks brilliant. This championship is fantastic. We've got, of course, it was Rossi Costello that's going to be joining us in a week's time. And if you are looking at this thinking you're tasty and, of course, you're eligible by meeting the age range, get yourself on the grid. This is fantastic racing. I cannot wait to go racing at Snetterton in a week's time. Of course, my home track here in Norfolk, just about 40 minutes up the road. They're side by side. Samuel Chilton versus Charlie Kelso in the fight for ninth. And Elliot Newbury getting a little bit lost, spinning on the exit of the chicane and having to do a quick razz around to find his way back onto the track. Charlie Devlin on the back of Henriksen Bell. This is important for him to mitigate the damage in the championship. With Nathan Williams now winning, Devlin needs as many places as he can get. He looks to the inside of the hairpin. Nicely done. The gap opened up. He put the car there, and that was that. Not really much that Albert Henriksen Bell can do. Now on to the final lap of the race. Or is this the final lap of the race? No, we've got one. Oh no, it is. Nathan Williams is going to win this race. The clock ticks 0. It was always going to be very, very close. Nathan Williams does the double, and that was an important move then for Charlie Devlin to make. Through into third place, right at the deficit, the final corner, and Nathan Williams is able to do the double here at Croft. What a round for the number 5. Victorious ahead of Will Clark, who, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the victory, but to come within 2 seconds of it in the end, starting from 8th on the grid, a tremendous drive. Charlie Devlin completes the podium. Albert Henriksen Bell, Elliot Dalton-Ayres in 5th, Gabriel Norse, Levine Kishore, Will Johnson, who of course was P2 in race 1, impressed once more in race race 2, and I believe will be our PASR driver of the round for round number 4 here at Croft, because of just how good that race 1 was, capitalising when he needed to, and he's impressed for quite some time as well. We've got Nathan Williams in the commentary box with us as well. We've got Will Clark. We'll wait for Charlie Devlin if he's able to come and join us. There he is, Charlie Devlin. So we'll start with you. P3 again. You did exactly what you said you would. The carnage on lap 1 though, did that help or did that hinder you, do you think?
Unfortunately, that really hinders me. Nathan got all the way up to like 5th or something stupid on the first lap, and then I was down in like 12th. He got caught up with some other things that I managed to catch back up, but really I was on the back foot that race, unfortunately.
Yeah, it definitely did seem it, but the moves you did make were fantastic. Of course, last lap, last corner on Henriksen Bell to get 3rd. Something you needed. We've still got half, I mean, it's easy to forget, we've still got half the season left to go for you to make up points. Do you still think the championship's on?
I hope so. I hope, unfortunately, something dramatic happens over the next few rounds, but hopefully not for me. So, it's going to be a bit of a luck in the draw. Obviously, there's going to be skill involved, qualifying, race 1, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the 2 podiums this evening, and we'll see you back in Snetterton.
Thank you.
Charlie Devlin P3 and P3 over the 2 races this evening. Making our way up the podium though, we'll go to Will Clark. Not spoken to in a while. P2, nearly a win. Good race.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the best race I've raced in a while. It was really, really good. I've struggled in the start of the season, just getting to grips with the car and stuff. It's very different from what I've been driving. And I've had some network issues and stuff like that, but they should be all fixed now, so hopefully this will be more common.
Yeah, you absolutely smashed that race. I mean, from 8th on the grid to lead the race, obviously Nathan Williams behind you, always going to be threatening. I mean, it was close. Within a couple of laps, 2 more laps, and you've held on for the win. But positive signs, and 2025 starting off really well. I mean, the rest of the season got 4 more rounds, of course, to take to. Which one do you think maybe we could see more Will Clark brilliance?
I mean, Anglesey was my best round in the Ginettas, so hopefully I can replicate that in this series, but we'll have to see. Hopefully I'll be able to practice a bit more now for every race, so hopefully I'll be quicker.
Overwhelmed with emotion, out of breath as well, quite a tiring race I'm sure in the sack. So congratulations Will, though, of course, and hopefully we'll see you back on the podium in a week's time at Snetterton.
Yeah, I hope so.
Nathan Williams then, we'll jump to you. Another race, another win, light work really. I mean, the carnage at the start, a couple of battles throughout, nabbed it though in the end, and well, just doing what you do best really, extending the gap in the championship, pole, both wins, both fastest laps, another day in the office, right?
Yeah, it was a very good race, very happy with the result. It was quite an up and down race. I had a great start, especially even just off the grid. I managed to just get a full car's width ahead of Charlie, so I could sort of just stop worry about him as much and stop trying to have to get past him in the opening stages. And then I managed to then wipe my out, I think it was 7th. But then in the middle of the race, I just got caught in a few incidents, just battling with people. And it went a bit more downhill. Charlie caught a bit right up behind me, and I was battling quite a few people, but I managed to get through. As soon as I reached 3rd behind Albert, and I've then realised obviously the win was on, and obviously had a chance for it, pushed, and obviously worked out.
Yeah, very much did. I mean, well, you won the race, so very much did work out. Leading the championship, extending the gap in the championship. Half the season left to go though, but we go to one of the rounds where you did very well. Brands Hatch, you were the top point scorer with 50. That's your best round to date thus far. I think today's going to top it though. So we go back to there. Snetterton, Anglesey, Alton Park, how you feeling? I mean, you're confident you can keep the championship in good stead and continue as you have been?
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to Snetterton. I was really fast last season there, but just lost out due to internet issues in the first race. So then, obviously, I'm really looking forward to them, hoping to build up a big enough gap in the championship that obviously I can sort of cover for having another bad round where maybe get caught in instance in the second race and still be in with a chance. So that's the goal.
Well, thank you very much for coming to have a chat with us. Congratulations on your 2 wins. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas as well. I know it's late, but it's fine. Or I'm getting it in really early. But congratulations on the 2 wins, and we'll see you next week at Snetterton.
Yeah, thank you. See you next week.
And finally, Will Johnson. What a race 1 that was. Of course, we spoke to you at the time. Race 2, carnage, chaos, calamity. A lot happened, but you still managed to bag a really good result, and for that, you're our driver of the round. Congratulations. Get yourself a lovely pair of 3M UK sim gloves. How has this evening been for you, and sort of does it set the stage for what we can expect for the second half of the season as well?
Yeah, that was probably see that a lot more, and that everyone was racing really good at the back. There was 2 tenths off of Levine Kishore at the last straight, which was close. Yeah, the first race is just amazing for the P2 and P8 this time. Pretty solid.
Very solid, very solid, mate. Absolutely smashed it. Obviously, second half of the season coming up. Snetterton, Anglesey, Alton Park, back to Brands Indy. Do you feel confident for it? I mean, does this give you a nice little confidence boost for the rest of the season? Starting the new year strong, gonna continue on that good stead?
Yeah, definitely more confident, but I'm not sure if the top 3 is possible. Probably get maybe P5 at the end. But yeah, pretty good this.
Well, thank you very much for coming to have a chat. Congratulations, of course, both on the podium, the top 10, and the new pair of gloves that you do get as well. Take care, and we'll see you back in a week's time for Snetterton.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Awesome stuff. Will Johnson. And as you can see on the screen, there are the provisional standings after round number 4. The first half of season 3 is in the books, and Nathan Williams has a commanding lead ahead of Charlie Devlin. 24 points clear heading into the second half of the season. Elliot Dalton-Ayres, though, only 8 points back in that fight for P2. A further 8 back to Henriksen Bell, 2 then to Gabriel Norse, and 6 to William Johnson. The fight is most definitely alive. Alexander Oppenheim is still there with, obviously taking his drop score today. Will Clark, Levine Kishore, Samuel Chilton. It's very much alive for all the positions inside the championship. So the JSCC is looking incredibly promising to round off at the end of this month. And speaking of rounding off, the Pro Sim Rig Super Touring 2024 Sim Series, had to think about that for a second. It's a long title, and I've not quite gotten used to it still. And it's the final round, as you can see, coming up at Alton Park in 5 days' time. 7:30 in the UK. We've got a Titanic Championship battle. Nathan Williams, of course, the double winner here at Croft, will be there. He's going to be looking to round up his first maybe of 2 championships in 2025. but he's got Nicky Taylor, 2024 Clear Cup GB champion to fight off and beat if he wants to win that title. Same to Albert Henriksen Bell, still very much in contention in third place in the championship as well. So that's going to be one to look forward to as well. So make sure you are tuning in here on Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing to follow all of the action up in Cheshire in a few days' time. Of course, more relevant to the JSCC, as you can see, Brands Indy, check. Donington Park, check. Castle Combe, check. Croft, check. We've still got Snetterton, Anglesey, Alton Park. I know I checked off Brands Indy. It was more of a half check because we're going back there in 4 weeks' time for round number 8 to round off the title, which is hopefully going to be as close as possible and make sure it's decided all the way at the final round when we head back to Kent for the finale of the JSCC to decide who gets their shot to potentially win a 2025 race seat. And sign-ups are still coming in. So if you're looking at this and you want 4 rounds of absolute mayhem, fun, and a nice learning curve for those that are eligible, make your way over to the PASR website, get yourself signed up, and join us here on Assetto Corsa. But well, that brings an end to another week. Of course, the first broadcast of 2025. It's been myself, Zach Sweeney, in the commentary box. Jack Rowell, unfortunately, not been able to make it, but will be back alongside me in a week's time. Tom O'Farrell, of course, has been brilliant as per usual, pushing the buttons behind the scenes as our broadcast director. Mick Sutton, the man behind it all, as our series organizer, and Jordan Taylor wasn't needed today as our safety car driver, but does a brilliant job as to liaising between himself and Tom, race control, that sort of thing as well. So a very, very valued driver of course, is everyone. But ladies and gentlemen, another week in the books. The first half of the season done and dusted. 4 to go. We'll see you on Tuesday for the Pro Sim Rig Super Touring Championship, and we'll be back on Thursday to kickstart the second half of the JSCC Official eSeries Season 3. It's goodbye for now.